The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot shall not prevail in this time of crisis. Thomas Paine. Thomas Paine wrote The Crisis right at a critical time during the Revolutionary War. George Washington had not won a single battle, and it was December 24th on Christmas Eve, and all of his troops were getting ready to go home and be like, we are done. We've eaten our belts, we've eaten our shoes, and we've served our time, and while we were gone, we've had our farms pillaged, we've probably had our families raped and killed, and we've been here fighting for freedom, fighting for a moral and just cause. That's beautiful that they did that they made that sacrifice. But what's embarrassing is if anybody today were to go back and read Thomas Paine's second book, The Crisis, or his first book, Common Sense, you probably wouldn't even understand the language in it. Now, why, this is embarrassing. Why is it embarrassing? First of all, we're celebrating the 4th of July. Now, there's a lot of spiritual people out there. At least they think they're spiritual. But do they understand field theory? Do they understand morphogenetics? Do they understand the mechanics of consciousness? Probably not. Or if they do, they don't know how to apply it, and that's okay. No big deal. I'm not making any judgments here, but I am saying that it would be a good idea for us to wake up. So, how does morphogenetics, agreement, and field theory, and the mechanics of consciousness, how does this all work together? So we know that there's a field of consciousness that's within the Christian church. There's a field of consciousness within the Nation of Islam. There's a field of consciousness within Republicans, and a field of consciousness within Democrats. There's a field of consciousness within straight people, gay people, etc. These are all different fields, and we support them through agreement. So, when we're celebrating our independence, when we are the most motherfucking dependent country on the planet, we borrow $500 million a day from China to fund our foreign policy of having bases in 175 different countries so we can steal their resources. Then we have the American public pay their income tax, which is also illegal. There's no law that says we have to pay income tax. We pay our income tax because we believe we are doing our part. Oh, we're doing our part. What does our income tax cover? Well, I'll tell you what, the total income tax from all Americans that's collected pays less than 1% of the interest on the national debt, which is primarily our military adventurism that we're borrowing money from every day from China. Oh, I'm a great American. Let me celebrate my independence. Oh, I want to celebrate living in the land of the free. So because I'm living in the land of the free, I'm going to go to a Native Americans reservation, the people we stole this land from, and I'm going to buy fireworks that are illegal in the land of the free to celebrate my independence. How much more hypocrisy do we need? Come on, give me a break. That's not even considering the African Americans' perspective or the Black Americans' perspective or whatever they choose to go by. Okay? Not even considering that. Now, when we get together and we celebrate that total hypocrisy, that total bullshit, we are supporting this field and we are playing a part in the mechanics of creation to propagate the continuance of this field of awareness that we believe is true, and it's not. It's time to draw a line in the sand and understand that the battlefield right now, my friend, is consciousness. Specifically my consciousness, specifically your consciousness. And then if we can really evolve, it'll be our consciousness and we can create a new one. Now, that means we have to interrupt old patterns, interrupt paradigms. Yeah, but 4th of July and Thanksgiving, I get together with my family. Really? Did you know that artificial intelligence, if you ask the right question, if you give it the right prompt, you'll get better answers? How about this? What's another way I could get together with my family that's not at the same time as celebrating the bullshit at Thanksgiving? When these beautiful people who knew we were not good came and said, God dang it, we can't just let them die. Let's feed them. Then they fed us and we killed them. You really want to be a part of celebrating this shit? Really? Do you have the fucking balls to stand up and raise your hand in the school board meeting and say, no, we're not going to be teaching this stuff in our classes? Do you have the fucking moxie, the grit to raise your hand and say, no, I'm not voting for either one of these two fuckers because they both suck. I'm going to demand that we get something better. Well, you can go ahead and do that. Nothing's going to happen. But if we do that, something will happen. And that's where field theory, that's where morphogenetics, morpho means change, our genetic memory, our genetic projection we're putting into the future, our agreement. You ever read the 4 Agreements? Yeah, it's a great book. Apply that shit. Apply it. Okay? My God. How many times do we have to go to a Tony Robbins seminar or a Joe Dispenza seminar or a Deepak Chopra book or whatever, and read this stuff, and we keep judging people. We keep living in these mental constructs. We keep playing out the same patterns over and over and over and over again. Come on. Can we bring out the best of what it means to be human already? Can we please? I mean, freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. And guess what? We got nothing to lose right now. We're probably all going to be dead within a decade. If we make it to 2031, I will be so surprised. Between the threat of nuclear war, between the economic and geopolitical challenges that are happening worldwide, the fact that we got like 10% of our fish left in the oceans, 30% of our tropical rainforest left, and all of the major countries in the world are fighting over these last little bits of resources, and they're learning how to take them out of the ground and out of the water even faster, let alone AI. Every single person at the top of their field, the CEOs, the inventors, the programmers of AI are saying, we are fucking dead within a couple of years, for sure, if we do not stop this. So we got nothing left to lose. Let's try interrupting the pattern. Raise your hand and say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to make a stand for truth. Plus, listen, if somebody says, I don't think you should eat meat, or I don't like the Islamic Nation, or I don't like Trump, or I don't like Putin, or whatever, and you start getting irritated about that, let me tell you something. Again, that's a belief. It's a mental construct. It doesn't hurt you. The only thing that hurts you is when you get triggered by it. If they took a salivary test, took some saliva out of your mouth before you saw that person, before you got triggered, and then they took a salivary test again after you got triggered, they would say, hey, look, you got way more entropic chemicals inside of your saliva than you did 5 minutes ago. Why? Well, it's the same reason that when they went to Jesus and said, what's the number one rule we should follow? He said, it's the golden rule. Treat another person as yourself, because that other person is yourself. Are you spiritual? Are you? Or are you just pretending to be? Do you not want to look at the problems? No, there's no AI. There's no AI. No, there's no problems with the oceans. I want another order of fish and chips, please. Give me 4 pieces of cod instead. Let me build a new house instead of buying one that's already there. Let me cut down some more trees. Come on, guys. Come on. Think about it. I mean, like, we are the only species on the planet that destroys its environment and destroys each other. Oh, and I'm spiritual. What is spiritual these days? You put a little bit of paint dots and stuff on your face, spin a piece of fire stick or a little thing in a circle, and then you dance at a techno party and take some drugs. That's spiritual? Really? Really? Come on. Come on. I remember when I was in my late 20s and early 30s and I was participating with roadmen and pipe carriers and sitting in lodge ceremonies and sitting in teepees and doing peyote, or with ayahuasqueros from Peru. And it's like a very deep, entrenched ceremony where it felt so like, wow, oh my God. Nowadays, you can go down to a corner and you can talk to some spiritual shaman that took a weekend workshop at a Body, Mind, Spirit event, and they're going to give you some plant drugs, and they're going to put a feather in their hair and put a little necklace around their neck and pretend like they're a shaman. And you're going to walk out of there probably having a traumatic experience or an angelic experience and think that you're spiritual. No, that's called plant medicine. There's a space that needs to be held for you to have that type of development, and you have to choose to step into that space. Not some cheesy plastic quick weekend fucking retreat. Like a lifelong practice of living by a code, morality. Certainly you're going to make mistakes. Certainly you're going to lie. Certainly you're going to steal. Certainly you're going to be abusive. There's not a single person on this planet that doesn't get triggered, that isn't reactionary, that isn't opportunistic. But own it. Grow from it. Evolve from it. And stop judging other people for doing exactly the same thing. We got 8 billion people on this planet, and there are no personal problems. No personal problems. Everybody has somebody in their life that passes away. Everybody gets sick at some point. Everybody experiences emotional ups and downs with their relationships or their finances or whatever. We're all the same. Stop judging. Stop using these beliefs and participating in paradigms that are just absolute bullshit. Come on. Are you spiritual? Really? Sit in a Vipassana. When's the last time you spent 10 days in silence with yourself? Can't handle it? Then you're not spiritual, I would say. You're definitely not spiritual. If you can't handle 10 days in silence by yourself, dealing with your shit, and yet you're going to walk around and project your beliefs on what's right and what's wrong with your patent on the truth against everybody else? Now, again, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. So I got nothing left to lose here. But I can say this. Having sat with over 20 different Vipassanas in 4 different countries and sitting and serving and even leading a Vipassana, it's a lot of work and a lot of demons come up, and you've got to take a look at them because there's nowhere else to go. Nowhere else to go. I can tell you from that perspective that the person I was before doing that process and the person I was afterwards and the thousands of people that I've met and conversed with who've been a part of Vipassana as well will tell you that's the work. I mean, Jesus Christ. That's the only thing the Buddha taught is Vipassana. It's the only thing he taught. So if you want to be like, no, Vipassana is not for me, but I'm spiritual, well then, okay, take the Buddha out of the equation of your life then. Because that's the only thing he taught. Now, what about Jesus? Let the non-sinner cast the first stone. How many people are walking around still judging people? Okay? If you're still judging people, are you a Christian? Okay, are you throwing rocks at them? Are you making them wrong? Come on. Come on. What does it mean to be spiritual? I think what it means to be spiritual is means to be living by our values, to recognize that everybody wants the same things. We want healthy children. We want abundance. We want a vibrant environment. We want a community of loving, supportive friends. I think what it means to be spiritual is to contribute. I think what it means to be spiritual is to serve. I mean, all of nature, if we look at natural law, the sun is sacrificing its heat. The clouds are sacrificing their rain. The trees are sacrificing their fruit. The fruit sacrifices its seed. Again, we are the only culture on the planet that destroys our environment and each other. Why don't we sacrifice a little? I don't mean sacrifice in like a negative term, like as in contribute. Work towards becoming financially free. And then using your abundance to help other people, not to hoard it like some fucking scumbag. Really? How much more do you need when there's so many people who are hurting out there that you can so easily help? What does it mean to be spiritual? Well, I'll tell you what. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot shall not prevail in this time of crisis. If you need it to be easy, I don't think you're going to be a quote-unquote spiritual asset to the movement that's going on right now, because it's not easy. We have a collective dark night of the soul. We have individual dark nights of the soul that we have to go through. I've been through a couple of them. I might have a few more. I don't know. But certainly we have a collective night of the soul, collective dark night of the soul coming. The chickens will come home to roost. If you're living in the United States, or if you're living in Europe, and your country has been a part of tearing down other countries, collaborating in these agreements, these fields of propaganda, and you've been benefiting from it, making money off of it, enjoying your life off of it, the chickens are going to come home to roost. I would suggest picking a fight with your shadow before it picks a fight with you. And by the way, again, I want to say something. I'm not triggered by any of this stuff, because I know that it doesn't really matter. All that matters is me being me being my truth, me raising my hand and saying, this is just bullshit, I don't want to participate anymore. And I'm hoping it might be a lightning rod for other people who are like, fuck man, I don't want to look at this, but yeah, a lot of that stuff is true. If you think some of this stuff might be beneficial to enter the consciousness of other people, please give a like, please give a share. You know, Krishna said to Arjuna on the battlefield of Jodak-Chepra, he said, yo, Krishna, I understand that you're looking out at the Pandavas there and you realize all of those folks are your kith and your kin, your brothers and your sisters. Because you're an enlightened soul. These are reflections of you. But let me tell you something, Krishna. There is action in non-action. So if you're not going to fight, you're actually participating in the rise of the unrighteousness that's taking place around you. So I invite you to like and share this video. Because if you're just going to watch and be in a place of non-action and just let it go, even though you believe that some of this stuff should be heard by other people, you're in non-action, and non-action is an action. So consider, raise your hand, like, share. We have to have a larger conversation about what it means to truly bring out the best of humanity. And part of that, a huge part of that, is addressing the challenges of being a human being. A huge part of that is owning the challenges of being a human being. A huge part of that is moving beyond these mental constructs of beliefs and embodying the emotional power of values. Again, please like and share. I love every one of you guys. I wouldn't be taking the time to record this 20 different times this morning if I didn't care. I got nothing to sell right now. In a few months, I'm going to be attempting to sell you something that I think is going to be a game changer worldwide. No shit. But right now, it's just about a message. Namaste.